Hi, so I'm here with Josh Hill today from Ring Central, and Josh is going to talk to us a little bit about creating a success path with account-based marketing. How are you doing, Josh?
Absolutely. I'm well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. So we'll just jump right into it. So can you just tell us a little bit about who should think about using an account-based marketing strategy? I know in the past, the enterprise and kind of the mid-market have used it to a lot of success. Should small and medium-sized businesses use it as well, or?
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right that enterprise and mid-market typically have the marquee accounts they're going after, the people they really want to bring on board as well as manage and have a really close relationship. Smaller companies can really benefit from ABM approach by going after the logos they need to have reference customers. Mm-hmm. That's where this really helps small companies.
And then I know ABM helps a lot of companies when they're thinking about driving demand in terms of who they should focus on and what accounts they should target. Do you also think that it plays a factor post-sales? So thinking about driving expansion, cross-sell, upsell, and usage of our products?
Of course. Certainly the very large companies have always been doing this for a long time, right? Certain special reps will get one or two companies that they manage from sale to upsell all the way down. Smaller companies can certainly benefit from that because continuity is very important to the customer.
Yeah.
I've had this situation on both sides of the table. People want stability. They want to know who they can go to. The more you can deliver that for them, the better off you'll be.
And what specific role do you see marketing playing there, especially when you think about an account-based strategy from a marketing standpoint post-sales?
That's an interesting question.
Thanks.
Marketing can help, of course, on all parts of the funnel if you let them, right? Some sales reps or some companies don't find marketing terribly helpful, but if you put some resources into it, marketing can help create a community around your customers. And just as Marketo and I'm sure Microsoft have done, they can create different levels of access, right? As you become more and more engaged as a customer, or you not just become a reference customer, but become an evangelist as a customer. And that's where you can really benefit from marketing's help.
Awesome, that's a good answer. So you have a segmentation framework for actually thinking about who you target when it comes to the accounts in an account-based marketing framework, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that segmentation framework?
Yeah, segmentation is very important for any kind of marketing, right? Not just ABM. First, you have to know who you're targeting.
Right.
Right, so you have to decide with total addressable market, what kind of companies you're going after, what kind of salespeople have the Rolodex and the kind of understanding of those industries, and work with them to pull together that list. And you'll help them by pulling names, domain addresses, whatnot, and then going to your database and preparing that database, understanding how recent and how engaged the database is, not just as a whole, but by account, by industry, by persona. And what you're going to do eventually in any sort of marketing automation tool is develop a set of, smart lists, database pulls that say, I've got my buyer personas, I've got my account personas, and I have buying stage or other BANT metrics or fields. So you can create an ABM matrix and say, I can cross all these lists and get a good crosstab and say, you know what, we've got manufacturing multinationals, marketing operations managers, and their bosses, and these are the people we're going after. And then, of course, you have to develop the content to go along with that.
Your campaign around all of that and have it be very targeted.
Yeah, so that's my framework.
Great. That sounds like a good framework. So in a world where we can measure so much, right, the amount of data is just, it's almost overwhelming for a lot of folks, right? So how do you think about measuring the success of an ABM campaign? Are there any specific metrics that you kind of consider first and foremost and that you advise people to think about?
Absolutely. There are always metrics, but you have to choose the best ones. And in many ways, you have to choose the best ones for your business. You can start with things like coverage, awareness, and engagement. Those are the kind of the top level things. If you know that your account is missing half the people you need to make a deal, you have to go do something about that. Then once you have those people, are they even aware of you? Are you emailing them? Are they visiting your site? Are there companies you haven't even thought of that are actually visiting your site that fit the same profile? Can you track that? And then engagement. Are those accounts engaged? Are they marketing qualified accounts? And it depends on what company, but you might say, well, if half of the account is MQL, then the account is MQL, for example. Now, for an actual campaign, you'd have to make that judgment with the sales team, the marketing team, to say, is this successful if we got a meeting, or if we got 2 meetings, or if we got to a certain stage in the buying process? Some very large companies do this when they're building enterprise penetration accounts to say, well, we'll pay the salesperson based on how far they got in the sales process. Now, that's not for everybody, right?
Yeah,
that's for very
it's a little bit
large
dramatic,
deals.
yeah.
But for smaller deals, small companies, you can take a similar approach and say, okay, are we reaching the right people? Are they engaged? And did we at least meet them? And that might be a good starting point for most companies.
How do you jointly get the sales team to work with the marketing team to accomplish that goal? Because I think that's definitely an easier said than done. And as you're talking about that, I definitely think that there's joint accountability there, right? Like that's not something that just can sit with the marketer.
Yes. There always has to be sales marketing alignment. If you haven't done that already, you really should start before you even start dealing with target accounts. And you could use the target account or the account-based marketing as a reason to go seek out your sales counterparts and say, hey, we can help you get in front of these people, in front of the influencers and the user champions, and do it faster and more efficiently. And you'll have to convince sales you can do that, of course, because they might not believe you the first time.
And how do you show them like the ROI to convince them, or maybe it's not ROI, but it's some sort of meaningful impact, especially from the work that you've done and having kind of these case studies in your back pocket? What do you use to kind of tee up that value prop or that business case to get people to start considering this approach?
I think you really have to go to sales and ask them what they need. And then you can show them, hey, I've got this matrix, this ABM matrix I've developed. I can see those 3 accounts are ready to go. I can give those to you now. These 4 or 5, you know what? We need to build up people in those accounts for you. Who do you need to see? We'll go out and try to help you find those people for you.
So maybe even just kind of that collaborative approach, and that being something new where you're actually kind of speaking their language about accounts, and kind of a targeted approach where they can actually see how you're going to help drive what they're measured against from a marketing perspective.
Yes, and having been a salesperson and having worked with them over the last, 10, 15 years, if you go approach them, you listen to them and actually deliver on early, they say always low-hanging fruit. There are always little pieces that the salespeople want to see happen now. And most of the time, marketing can deliver those quickly and then build up that trust. And then you can almost embed yourself with sales, especially with an ABM approach.
Great. So when partners or organizations are thinking about creating an ABM success path, what are kind of the 3 takeaways of everything we've talked about for them to consider?
Know who you're going after, build the ABM matrix in your system, and collaborate with sales.
Great. So thanks to Josh for giving us some great tips on creating a successful ABM path. Appreciate your tips.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.